Welcome to Recovery Inspired Hope. I'm so excited today. We have a great episode today. I found this amazingly fabulous woman on Instagram named Kim Bellis, who has this amazing sober clothing line. She is an amazing entrepreneur and has a story that she is going to share with us. Kim, say hello to everybody.
Hi, and thanks so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of yours.
And Kim, what area are you in?
I'm in Montreal, Canada.
Okay, I knew you had an accent somewhere. So okay, we were talking backstage and you were saying that yes, you are in recovery. It's been 10 years since you've had a drink.
Mhm.
And I loved how you said booze was not my friend.
No, and I'll never ever have another drink as long as I live. I just don't want to lose what I found without drinking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And your clothing line, okay? So your clothing line is super glam, super fabulous. It really makes being sober trendy. And I love that. I love anything that glamorizes sobriety, right? Because that is our mission. Against big pharma, against alcohol companies, they're gonna glamorize that stuff, and we are gonna glamorize sobriety.
Absolutely, and we have to. We have to because, quite honestly, just Jamie, if you think about it for 30 seconds, if you're bombed and you're out of control, you're not going to remember the good time you had anyway. So it doesn't really make sense, the whole thing.
Absolutely. And so I want to get right in the beginning to where can people find and support your clothing line?
Okay, so it's sober is the new cool.ca. So, or on Instagram, or we have a shop on Instagram, we have a shop on Facebook, and our website. So, one of the three, it's easy to get. And may I say one thing that part of the proceeds go towards mental health and addiction. This is not a moneymaker by any means. This is really almost like a shield for people to wear as um, they feel like they have pride when they walk around with sober is the new cool. And, I add sparkles, I add pearls, I add all kinds of stuff. So that'll be one of our next t-shirts coming up because the women seem to really love it. And you know what? Why not sparkle, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The recovery community these days is definitely shining. And Kim, you are on the forefront. And I just thank you for all of your hard work. And I really appreciate your mission. And I'll make sure I'm going to put all those links right in the beginning. So if anybody just drops in real quick, they'll be able to find out where to get your merchandise from. And I think it's great that you're giving back and the proceeds are going to the mission and the passion that you believe in.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. And I think really when I see younger girls and women like you, I think, my God, thank God, because you're the future and you're going to make a difference. And all those young girls, I mean, I stopped drinking at 52, like too bad almost. Like, but that was my journey. But, anyways, for all these other young girls that are starting it at 20, 30, and they're seeing that they can go out and have sober dating, have fun, do whatever. And men also, the sober dads, the young dads gives them more energy. They exercise more. They're into wellness. So I'm all for it.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love how you said that about sober dads. It's so true. I think sober dads don't get recognized enough.
Uh,
So, definitely. Okay. So, let's hear about your journey. So, what happened? Like, did you start drinking kind of just like a normal, high school, college girl, or what was it
oh,
like?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was like I was, the fun girl, the party girl. Most of my friends to this day will say to you, I never had a problem with alcohol. But you know what? I think I did because now looking back on how I am now, how I look now compared to what I look like at 50, is day and night. So obviously, alcohol was not my friend. I didn't exercise as much. I wasn't as positive, even though I was always like, everybody thought I was positive. I guess for me, alcohol was really just too much of a depressant. And I just don't need it in my life ever again.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy how you said that. Now I don't know what you look like. Maybe you can send me over a picture and I can put it up on the screen for people to see. Because you like are just completely like glam, fabulous, beautiful. So, but I do believe that after years in sobriety, you get some youth back and some life
Yeah.
back, and there's like an internal light that shines from the inside of you. I know people said like when they see pictures of me when I was in active addiction, I got sober, in my 30s. And when I was in my 20s, I looked so much older, you
Yeah.
know, with all the toxins and substances in my body. So, okay, so you were like just a party girl having fun. It was a choice, you were having a good time. What happened?
Well, so life happened basically. I had two children, and I guess, doing homework, 5 o'clock, the wine would come out, you're cooking dinner. Um, but, it all seemed controlled enough. Okay. I like to say enough. And then in 2013, my youngest son, Matthew, started having grand mal seizures. So
Mm.
from one day to the next, our life went completely upside down. And he was diagnosed with epilepsy. Football was taken away, all sports, everything. So, as a mom, you want to, fix everything. You want to make sure that your kids are happy. And I couldn't. There was nothing I could really do to change his diagnosis. So after a few months, I said to him, okay, Matt, it's time to get back out, go see your friends, hang out. He'd go. 30 minutes later, he'd call me and say, Mom, come and pick me up. So the third time or fourth time, I said, what's going on? This just doesn't make sense, Matthew. And so we started talking, and he said, I don't fit in, Mom. And in Canada, the drinking age is 18, Jamie.
Mhm.
So at 13, 14, the boys are drinking beer in the park, whatever and whatnot. Okay. So they start early everywhere. And so I said to him, oh, come on, Matthew, you do not need booze to have fun. And as I said it, Jamie, I looked in my hand and I had the biggest glass of wine. And I just thought, wow, you are such a hypocrite. So I said to him right then and there, I said, okay, I'm going to stop drinking for 3 months. I mean, it was literally, this was just to prove a point that I would not drink for 3 months. And, so 3 months came and went. I felt a lot better. I was sleeping better. But I always kind of thought I would go back to drinking. And then at 3 months, he said, see, now you could be like everybody else and have fun again. And then that really was like, oh, wow, so I said, okay, I'll do another 3 months. And then I hear him tell his friends, you guys can't bring beer or booze here because my mom quit drinking for me. So he just wasn't
Oh.
even comfortable enough saying he couldn't drink because of his meds. So I thought, wow, this has got to change. So I just started thinking, okay, I'm going to start something. And it was really just for him, Jamie. So my sister helped me out make a logo, and we came up with Sober is the New Cool. And everybody that I talked to said, oh my God, you're crazy. This will never work. Cool and sober in the same sentence. It's just forget it. Forget it. Like I was like a crackpot. Anyways, needless to say, I said, well, I don't care. I'm just going to try and I'll just keep going. And the minute we went online, it was crazy. I had young people from all over the world like reaching out. And I guess I'm older, so I was not their mother, and I could talk like a mom, but not with that, because when it's your mom, you don't really always listen. And, I always wanted daughters, never had any. So I have daughters all over the world. And it just became a passion. And, I have a bunch of sweet girls. I have a nurse, Kelly Marie, in Philadelphia, that's turned her life around. That's absolutely magnificent. I have my sweet Maddie, which is AK a Sober Badger. She asked me to do a tattoo with her. So I would say to her,
Nice.
I love you, infinity plus one. And she lives in London, England. So we did it with WhatsApp. I'm not a tattoo girl, but for her, if that's what it took for her to know that she mattered, I did it. And it just took off. And then we got like sober dads and it was like they were just waiting. And then COVID hit, and then it just exploded.
Wow. So you took this opportunity to give of yourself and of your time and to help people and just kind of became like a mom to these people who were just reaching
Yeah.
out to you, which I know in so many people in addiction, we're missing that motherly role model or, or the fatherly, the absent father. And to have like a stable mom figure. I know for me growing up, whenever I would go to my friends' houses, I would always think like, oh, I want to be adopted into their family, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
always looking for a healthy mom role model. And so what a blessing you are to be able to be that for so many people and all around the world. I mean,
And it kind of started where at first when I would talk, there was one young girl, she was a school teacher, a grade 5 school teacher. And I said to her, we're going to start this little fun exercise. And I said, every morning I'm going to send you a word after I am. A positive, one word, and it's positive, and one at night. So then after like a week or so, I asked them to send me one back. And she said, I can't, there's not one good thing I could think about myself. And that broke my heart because I thought, you know what? Self esteem has to be rebuilt. I mean, it took me till I was 60 to figure out that I'm good enough just the way I am. I'm not tall enough. I'm not this. I'm not, it doesn't matter. I'm me, and that's great. And I don't want anyone else, man, woman, school teacher, no matter who, to have that feeling. So that's what we started this I am. And 6 months into this, she sent me a note after the fact and said, Kim, I couldn't say one good thing about myself when I met you. Now I could say 50. And she
oh,
started doing this with her school kids every morning when they would come in. She had I am on the board, and they all had to go around and say something good about themselves. And I thought, because I do think addiction and mental health is a bit of lack of self-esteem, and for people to know they matter and someone really cares about them, not just, at their birthday or once in a while. Like, so checking in for me is key, every day.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Mental health absolutely matters because it's like for me in my addiction, it was like, why would I even want to stay sober? Like, who cares? Like, nobody cares about me. And it doesn't matter. My life's not going to get better. I'm not worth anything, and that goes into so many facets of addiction, and then for me, it was, finding my worth in other things like in men and things like that. And that was a whole nother destruction, and even coming into recovery, that was really hard for me to break. Just like dating men who treated me like crap because I felt like I wasn't worthy and I didn't matter. And I had no self-esteem at all. And it took until I was about 18 months sober until I finally realized, hey, like I don't deserve that. I don't deserve
No.
to be treated like that. Like I am worth something, but man, did it take a long time to do that.
And I think that's part of the problem. We see all this, these parties and people are worried about how to socialize with no booze. And quite honestly, when people start drinking, they don't even know what you're drinking an hour into the party anyways. But it is uncomfortable. And even it's 10 years in January that I'll be, sober. And even today, there are moments where when I say, no, I don't drink, that look comes on people's faces like, oh, what's
Mm,
wrong? That
yes.
kind of thing. Like, oh, what's her story? And then, at the beginning, I used to always explain, oh, it's for my son and this and that. And now I just say, no, you know what? Booze is no good for me. And I don't need it. And I'm okay with that.
End of story. No
Period.
explanation
Period.
needed.
No. And I don't want anyone else to have to explain anymore. And quite honestly, I think that there should be more options wherever anybody goes, for mocktails or non-alcoholic beverages, so that it's really, you know, it's not a big deal. You've got your little glass. I always drink my Perrier in a glass of wine or champagne flute if somebody's getting married or whatever. but you know what? I just really feel that we're a little bit behind Europe, I find, because Europe, everywhere you seem to go, there's options galore. Here, there's not so, we're getting there, but slowly.
With the mocktails and like the non-alcoholic
Yeah.
wines and champagne. I know for at our wedding, when I got married last October, we had non-alcoholic champagne, and it was really hard to find it. It was not
Yeah.
easy to find. And you're right that we are behind the times on that, where it should be readily available to have like mocktails and things like that, because we can get really creative. Now, do you know anything about kava?
No.
That's an alcohol alternative that here I think there's like maybe like two kava bars in the whole state of Georgia, and it's like a root, like a valerian root, almost kind of like that. It's for like anxiety, you know what I mean, like a natural plant
Okay.
or whatever. And they make mocktails with it, so they have like a pina colada, like, but it's a cavalada. It's
Oh,
like,
that's
so
cool.
yeah, and then the atmosphere is super fun. I mean, it's kind of like a bar, and they have like a pool table, and they have like art night, and they'll have DJs and
Ah,
dancing and all this, but no alcohol. So it's a great alternative. We're right here on the University of Georgia campus, so it's a great alternative
mm.
for college students who don't want to drink, but still want to have like the social atmosphere and things like that. So I didn't know if you
and
guys
and
had
I
any out there.
no, no, not yet. Well, they're starting to open like little cafe bar kind of things, but I am going to New York in October because it's not far from me, and there's a bunch of them opening up in New York City now, and so I think it's starting. And the other thing is too, I think the first year in sobriety for me, anyways, I didn't go to a lot of restaurants or parties, and one was because this restaurant was like, oh, I always had red wine there. This one I had rosé. This one had a martini.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized the association. And for a good year, I had to stay quiet. So that gives people the alternative to be able to go out and not. And, the other thing I have to say for all the young people out there, whether you're a woman or a man, if somebody says they don't want to drink, don't say to them you could have just one. Just don't. Just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Respect their choices as if it was gluten intolerant or they had a peanut allergy or whatever it is. Just leave it be and just say, okay, do you want a Coke or 7 Up? Like just because it's hard enough many times for a lot of people. And we do have these ups and downs. Like I know in the 10 years, there's been, I was away for a month and, somebody had the best pink champagne and I looked at it and went, oh, shit, that was mine, and then I thought, okay, off we go, like turn the head. But, it's still, there are still moments that are trying. So make it as easy as possible for others.
Right. And so a question that I want to ask you that I deal with a lot, and a lot of people I know struggle with, is mom guilt. Mom guilt for, the things that we did, and for feeling like we weren't, there and good enough, and all that. How did you kind of get through that mom guilt?
Well, I have to say we did go to therapy when Matthew lost football and everything because that was his life. He thought he was going to college football and everything else, right? And I remember being at the psychologist's office, and he said, "Well, you guys have to like say how you feel," or I forget exactly. And Matthew didn't know what to say, so I said, "I'll go first." And so I looked at him and I said, "I feel like I failed you as a mother." And the tears just rolled down my face. And he was like, the big eyes, like, he's just like, no, no, no. And I said, yeah, I do. I didn't see, I didn't really tap into how hard it was for you to lose everything. And I was like, the first 4 months were traumatic. I mean, he couldn't ride a bicycle at 13. It was like everything was taken away because we were so afraid. And I was drinking wine. So I did miss a lot of that. And listen, there's not much I can do other than now move forward and be there as much as I can and say I'm sorry. And you know what? Everybody is just imperfect. Like I've never met a perfect person in 61 years of my life. So, you know what? Like we all make mistakes and we should acknowledge it. And we should tell our kids, I'm sorry for what I did. And, for them to know that it's, we're human and we made a mistake and we're not going to do it again. We learn from it. You make a mistake, you learn from it. Don't do it again. But life is hard and we do the best we can with what we know. And now, you and everybody else that talks about sobriety and everything makes it easier for others, right? So it'll be easier for the younger people coming up, and raising kids and knowing that, at 4 o'clock when homework is done, you don't need to open up the bottle of wine.
Absolutely. And did you did you know before you got sober about like a community of people in recovery? Did you have any idea that there was such a thing?
I knew people that had issues with drugs and alcohol. So yes, I did. But I mean, not to the extent of really what I know today. I think I was more into the mental health aspect of it because the other thing I find with young kids, and I guess that was part of my journey also, my older son had friends that had ADHD medicine and then they would drink with it. Well, you know what? That's a real bad thing because, depression, suicidal thoughts, tendencies, and nobody talks about that. So there was a real learning curve, and there still is, like now with everybody talking about fentanyl being laced everywhere and anywhere.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I have mothers, saying that their kids are dying and, or are addicted and can't get them off the streets. So it's, I guess it was there, but it was more hush hush and people didn't
Right.
really want to talk about it, right? Kind of quiet and
Yes, absolutely. And that was the thing with me is that, I had no idea when I was in my active addiction that there was a community of people who even wanted to stay sober. Like, why would anybody want to be sober? That makes no sense to me. But I feel like today in the last couple years, there's just been such a movement of people speaking out about recovery and speaking out and putting like a different spin on being sober, like your clothing line. And it's so amazing. I'm so glad that things are kind of like moving this way now, because I feel like if I would have known then that there was a community of people that would have embraced me and helped me, I maybe would have came into recovery sooner.
yeah. And the other thing too, Jamie, a lot of people, until their child is addicted or has problems, they're like, no, not my house, right? And it is starting to change, but the stigma has to, the shame, there should be no shame because addiction is not a choice. Mental health is not a choice. Nobody wakes up and wants to be a drug addict or an alcoholic or have a depression and feel anxiety, right? Nobody. So like everybody should be a little kinder, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kim. Is there anything, do you have any piece of advice that you would like to give for anybody who might be struggling out there?
Well, I'd like them to put their hand on their heart and close their eyes and just say, I am worthy, I am enough, and I matter. And someone is listening to me right now.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Well, thank you so much, Kim. Thank you for coming and sharing today. Thank you. You have such a wonderful, your spirit is just beautiful, like your energy. I've been
So do you. You too, Jamie. I think there's this I hate saying aura or whatever, but I find that sober people have a lightness about them and the eyes shine differently and the smile's a bit brighter. And, one last thing, if you do make a little mistake and you slip, it doesn't matter. We are here. We still love you. We're cheering you on. There's sober angels everywhere. And you know what? Failure is when you stop trying. So just keep going because you will get it. You will succeed. And you're worth it. You're worth it, right?
Absolutely. Failure is when you stop trying. That
Yep.
I'm stealing it. I love that.
Yeah, go ahead, because you know what? If everybody thought of that when they made a little mistake, and you know, if I made a mistake, you'd be nice to me. You would say, okay, it's okay, don't worry about it, right? So I want everyone to be that kind to themselves.
So true. So true. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I'll make sure I'm gonna put all the links up where people can find your merchandise so that you can support addiction recovery and mental health. And thank you so much again, Kim. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube, and we will see you next time on Recovery Inspired Hope.